No, I just, yeah.
Can I, too loud, too quiet in your head?
Just a
Adjust
little
it.
bit more.
Louder or quieter?
Louder.
Louder. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
You're good.
Okay.
How about
Pull you up
can
to
you hear
there.
me?
Yeah, you're fine here.
Okay.
I'm going to pull your gain up a little bit. I am going to use that. Keep that low. All right, the rest of those should be fine. And I need to pull this down. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, but you can hear me fine.
Yep, I can hear you. No problem.
All right, and hopefully, with as low as I'm keeping this here and here, this shouldn't peak. Should be all right. Okay.
Okay. You just keep your.
I probably realistically won't even be able to find the field until I get up in the morning. I'll probably get up, go find a field. Let's see, that's a Sunday, right? Trying to think when the best time. They're gonna have to get up early the next day. Yeah, what time do we play the next day? It's not as early as the 9 o'clock game the next day or whatever. Right. I don't know. I gotta think about that because I think if I wait till too late in the afternoon, fields could be taken. Nobody's gonna be practicing on a Sunday morning. Probably good to get them out, get their heads up. Hey, by the way, going to practice, or you gonna leave? Well, you know them. I'll wait. Is there a reason all these guys have to dunk in warm-ups like that? So they can break our rim and let us sit here another hour? Shoot the ball.
Coming to you live from Ersprung Gymnasium on the campus of Baldwin Wallace University. Welcome inside our coverage of a rematch of the OAC Championship match from 1 year ago. It's the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets and the Mount Union Purple Raiders tonight here on BWYellowJackets.com. Alongside Jeff Miller, I'm Brendan Gulick. Coverage tonight sponsored by Dan Andrews and Olympic Forest Products, a global recycling company. Jeff, you got a Mount Union team coming in that's coming in off a loss, which I'm sure is a little frustrating for them. But they had won 6 in a row prior to that. It was just a 1-point setback at Heidelberg. And while this Mount Union team lost 3 critical starters to graduation, they have a really good young core, and they're playing well this year.
That's no doubt about it. This is definitely a game that they had penciled in, like you said in the beginning here, since last year. Want to get that revenge of being knocked out of the championship game in the NCAA tournament. And this is the second straight, last year was the second straight year that BW has knocked out the Purple Raiders out of the OAC tournament.
The Purple Raiders last year were tri-champions in the regular season, but of the tri-champs, they were the only ones not to get an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament, which was frankly a bit disappointing because they had such a good season a year ago, and guys like Andrew Francisconi, Tommy Stenger, and Giallo Niamke had really made a big difference for the Purple Raiders. But they return guys like Nathan Bauer-Malone, now a sophomore, and Colin Gurley, a really good player, and of course, right now, one of the better scorers in the conference in Braden Poole. He is exceptionally good in the paint. Devontae Frigo will come off the bench. This Purple Raiders team is very, very good. For the Yellow Jackets, they're playing some pretty good basketball of late, and it's a nice thing to see. The team has certainly started to round into shape a bit, and they have now won 5 of their last 6 contests to go to 7-4 on the season. The Jackets have had their bumps and bruises on the season. The good news is Luke Schaefer is available tonight and is in the starting lineup after he left Wednesday's game with a shoulder injury. But the team is still without Tyler Colombo, who's out with a knee injury tonight, and I would imagine they'll miss his leadership on the floor. Definitely.
He's grown over the 3 years, and now as a senior, being that main person to be the big guy up front for the Yellow Jackets. So for seeing him in his street clothes has to hurt these guys, but there's something that's going to give Drew Silva an opportunity to excel at what he does on the board.
Drew Silva, the big man for the Jackets, wearing number 44. His counterpart, same number. His name is John Carroll, but he plays at Mount Union. Massillon Tuslaw, graduate. John Carroll, a 6'11 senior in the post for the Purple Raiders. He wins the opening tip, and last year's OAC Championship game rematch underway here in Berea. Starting lineup for the Purple Raiders includes Colin Gurley, Nathan Bauer-Malone, senior Tanner Slack, sophomore Braden Poole, and senior John Carroll. Early foul on the Jackets sends John Carroll to the line. Michael Quiring, Anthony Mazzio, Zach Sabula, Luke Schaefer, Drew Silva, starting 5 for Tom Heil's team tonight. So it's John Carroll at the free throw line, and he completes the 3-point play. He's about a 60% free throw shooter on the season.
He's not the only John Carroll in the building. The former Yellow Jacket John Carroll is here too, watching his former team.
I appreciate that you have that perspective. There was a John Carroll that played at BW. That's also pretty odd, but one of those cool trivia questions, I guess, in the OAC. Meanwhile, Michael Quiring denied. Here comes Gurley, the Archbishop Hoban Knight in high school, stepped into a 3. Quiring grabbed the rebound. Luke Schaefer fakes and drives. Mazzio is open, and he connects on the 3 ball. Of course, the Yellow Jackets only graduating 2 from last year's senior class, but both were pretty impactful guys, Jay Battle and Kyle Nader. Kyle still with the program as an assistant coach. Jay Battle is living and working down in the Columbus area. But these two teams, despite having played for all the marbles last year, look similar, but also in terms of their real impact players, they're definitely different teams than they had been. 3-3 ball game, about a minute and a half in. Schaefer spinning around and throws a bounce pass to Quiring. Q step back, missed everything.
The length of John Carroll now, the length of Mount Union's going to play a factor today. They're lanky.
John Carroll's length is a factor at 6'11". No doubt about that. Poole in some trouble. This is Bauer Malone, who didn't get called for the walk. And in the left corner, Braden Poole makes him pay for it. 6'3" Raiders. Braden Poole right now is the OAC leader in field goal percentage. He's connecting on almost 60% from the floor. And considering he's a 6'5" small forward, you might think that a good chunk of his buckets come toward the basket, and they do, but he showed off some nice range there. Tanner Slack, finger roll for two. 8-3 Mount Union, 2.5 minutes in.
Poole with a nice take there, saw he didn't have it, kicks it back out, and then a nice finger roll there for the basket.
Luke Schaefer certainly stepped into a pretty important role for the Jackets this year as Mazzio gets fouled underneath. Schaefer has become the focal point of the offense for BW. Alex Nara checking on, and he'll take Drew Soba's spot. Meanwhile, Devontae Friga continues to sit on the bench. I'd be stunned if we don't see him fairly soon. Plays more than half the game, and he's averaging more than 14 a night. But he hasn't started any of the games this year for head coach Mike Fuline. Schaefer rejected, sort of a tag team block. Both Poole and Carroll were there. John Carroll from Tanner Slack with a two-hand flush.
Big man set the pick and just rolled away, and only person in his way was Quiring, and we knew he wasn't going to get up there with him.
It's a 7-0 run for Mount Union. 16:45 left in the opening half. The Jackets are down a touchdown, 10-3. Zach Sabula feeds Alex Nara. And Nara slid by John Carroll, but lost possession. Head coach for the Purple Raiders, I mentioned him a minute ago, Mike Fuline. Truly one of the good guys in the league. He's one of the most likable coaches across the entire OAC, and he's done a terrific job down in Alliance. 9th season, he's a Kent State grad. 144 wins, 86 losses coaching at Mount Union, but he's had a nice career even beyond coaching in Alliance. 2 regular season championships, a tourney title. Took the team to the Sweet 16 back in 2015. Bauer Malone gives it away with the shot clock winding down. Poole too short. Sabula right back where it came from. Quiring swings around the perimeter. Man-to-man defense has been pretty good from the Raiders so far. Mazzio to Nara. Right back to Anthony with a right hand down the left lane, and it pops away. Halfway down. The Jackets' only bucket right now is a three-pointer that came fairly early on from Anthony Mazzio. Otherwise, they've missed their other 4 shots. This one's going back to BW.
Good defense there by Quiring as he was up against John Carroll, and he came around and poked it away.
All right, so a couple of changes on the Mount Union side. No surprise that Devontae Friga comes in. And we are also seeing for the first time tonight junior Logan Hill, who is as athletic as anybody in the conference. He is a transfer to Mount Union from the University of Toledo, where he played hoops for the Toledo Rockets. Mazzio working on Gurley. Pound for pound, Gurley's one of the best guards in the league. So Mazzio couldn't get the shot off. That kid plays a heck of a good defense.
He was all over him. It was every which way Mazzio went, Gurley was right there, so great defense.
Here comes Shane Zalba, former Menor Cardinal, on for Zach Sabula. See if Zalba can be a good matchup for Devontae Friga. Yeah, Logan Hill at 6'7", 205. He's a pretty solid player. He's seeing about 16 minutes a game, and he's been effective when he's gotten in there. About 6 points, 5 rebounds per game as he goes to work here for his first basket.
Just back down Mazzio and put the little baby hook over him.
The scouting report on Logan Hill coming to Mount Union this year was that he is certainly a Division I athlete, but perhaps wasn't quite good enough to see the floor as a true basketball player. Needed to refine more of the skill set. Meanwhile, it comes to Mount Union, and his athleticism certainly hasn't changed, but he's worked hard on his game. And the Purple Raiders think he can be a guy they really can rely on and build upon here as they try to repeat as OAC champs. Acquiring, slicing down the middle of the key, and finally another Jacket bucket. It's 12-5 Mount Union, 14-15 in the first half. Nathan Bauer Malone, who recently became the 32nd member of the 1,000 Point Club. Did that back on November 24th against Trine. Works it underneath, and Braden Poole goes right over the top. Well, you pointed it out early, Mount Union's length is probably going to be a factor tonight. I think it's sort of the combination between their length and their athleticism. So Matt Dimitrievs in the right corner gives it up.
Yeah, definitely. With Alex Nara being our biggest player out there, they're going to shoot over the top of over the Yellow Jackets every time they have the opportunity.
And with Nara, you bring a little bit more athleticism on the floor than you have with Drew Sova, just in terms of his mobility and agility, as Gurley tried to save that one from going out of bounds. Drew Sova is as thick and cut and strong as anybody on the team, but Nara maybe a bit more explosive. Acquiring and Schaefer come out. Jackets bring Jake Snyder and Jack Listowski into the game. Chris Painter Jr. checks in. Mario Kaywood comes on for Mount Union. But they keep Gurley, Logan Hill, and Devontae Friga on the floor.
Gurley just here almost had another steal. He looked like he was playing like a DB. They just came out of nowhere and almost swiped it.
You know, I'm not sure if Colin Gurley played high school football or not for the powerhouse Hoban Knights and head coach Tim Tyrrell down at Hoban. But I could see where maybe he was a defensive back. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. I know who their running backs were, and I know he wasn't a running back, but I wouldn't be surprised if he played DB for the Knights in high school. This one's going back the other way after the airmailed 3-ball. Still 14-5 Mount Union. The Jackets have not shot it well. 2 of 8 from the floor. Mount Union's hit 6 of 11 to build a 9-point lead. Zalba carved his way through the defense. Decided to throw a pass towards Snyder instead of go up with it. Perhaps he was caught too far under the basket. Deflected out, the Jacket inbound.
Mount Union's hands are always moving. Like we keep reiterating, the length of them. Those passes that you normally can get by aren't getting by.
Listowski fades away from the right elbow and puts it off the back of the iron. Painter to Gurley. Tucks it, dishes it. It's bobbled, and the Jackets pick it up.
Probably should have just went right up with that one instead of looking for the extra pass.
No doubt. Only the second Purple Raider turnover in the first 7.5 minutes. Jackets have given it away 3 times as Nara tried to find an open lane to shoot it. And his mid-air adjustment forced a miss to the right. BW is struggling offensively. 5 points through 8 minutes. Gurley. Zalba clears it. Listowski. Snyder for 3. Another one and done. Yellow Jackets have not grabbed a single offensive rebound so far. On the other side, they've cleared the glass pretty well, have only given Mount Union 1 second chance opportunity as BW's called for a foul. It's on Nara. Drew Soba comes back in. Nara's first, team second. Sub for Mount Union 2, Tanner Slack returns for Gurley, who looks like he hardly broke a sweat, which is remarkable considering how hard he was playing. Well, the Jackets have already seen Marietta this year. Pioneers right now undefeated in league play. They've only lost once overall, and they are top the OAC. Logan Hill with a right-handed hook shot right over top Zalba for two. And now it's 16-5.
Definitely can see that he has a D1 ability, just maybe a little undersized or not big enough to be that four at a major D1 school.
There's a foul over there on Friga. Anyways, so Mount Union 4-0 in the league so far, and then right behind them, the Jackets and Mount Union are at 3-1. I think if you want to do an autopsy on the first half of the season so far, Mount Union looks like they are the real deal. I realize they've lost a couple of games, but they are certainly talented enough to win the conference. Sova grabs the miss and cleans it up. 16-7 Mount Union, 10:48 in the first.
First offensive board, and there was the first time that BW's size took advantage there because John Carroll's sitting on the bench.
Painter, step fake, all three of those. 19-7 Raiders. Chris Painter, freshman from St. Vincent St. Mary High School. Jack Listowski considered the three, then decided to take it, and he puts one in. Uncontested triple for Listowski, answers on the other end, 19-10. Meanwhile, of the other good teams in the conference, I think you could certainly consider John Carroll to be one of the better schools in the league again this year. Now they're handling Otterbein okay so far tonight as Friga totally bricks one. 19-9 Blue Streaks down at Otterbein halfway through the first half of their game. Listowski wants another three, and he threw one wildly up there, but Sova grabs the miss. Power dribble, and I think he traveled. Sure did.
He might have actually traveled twice on that play.
Wilmington is beating Capital right now 23-16, and there's about 11 minutes left in the first half of their game. Check in on Marietta and Muskingum as well. That's a game that certainly favors the 8th nationally ranked Pioneers. And early on, it's 24-17 Marietta. Other game tonight in the league is Ohio Northern and Heidelberg. Both those teams looking for a couple of good wins here to get them rolling in conference play. The Student Princes lead by 3, and you can tack on 3 more. Actually, foot was on the line, only 2 for Chris Painter. So it's 21-10. Painter with 6. Quiring tried to slice one into the middle of the key, knocked out.
Don't lose anything with Painter coming on the floor, even as a freshman. Kid can play.
No doubt. I think you could make a pretty solid argument that Gurley was the best freshman guard in the league last year. And Painter is certainly among them this year. Zach Sabula shoots his way back into a single-digit deficit, 21-13. First triple for Sabula tonight. So BW 3 of 7 from behind the three-point line. They've got a Quiring layup and a Sova layup to go with it, but the team's still shooting under 33% for the night. Mount Union's hit 53% as Listowski commits the foul. Luke Schaefer coming back, so's Anthony Mazzio. Listowski checks out, and Jake Snyder will go grab some Gatorade. Painter gets the inbounds pass right back from Hill. This is K. Woods skipping it over the top. Now Friga driving down the right side of the ladder, and he easily lays it in.
Put the first dribble and then it exploded to the rim. That was no wonder why he's averaging 14 points off the bench.
Off the bench. I mean, to me, that's the key there. You have someone that good that comes off the bench. You must really like your depth. Drew Silva, oh yeah, up and under. The Mikan drill works for him. 23-15. Four points for Silva. Painter back to the top. Kaywood gives it back to him. Friga on Quiring, who's maybe BW's best defending guard. Hill open for three, and he tickles the twine on the way down.
BW had it nicely defended, and then Hill just popped out and buried that three.
Well, the Raiders look good in several aspects tonight. They lead it by 11. Sabula got his three ball off. Soba couldn't handle it. Mount Union's hit only 3 of 8 from deep, but 11 of 19 from the floor. They've been really good driving to the basket tonight, not having to settle for jump shots, although they've hit a couple of long twos and obviously the 3 balls. It's a group that slashes to the hoop pretty well. And frankly, they're passing the ball faster than BW can rotate defensively, which turns into open looks. Logan Hill missed the first one. Jackets would have preferred that he didn't. And the foul, Logan Hill has 9 already. And he's heading to the free throw line for one more.
And I was going to just say, I wonder why Coach Fuline hasn't even thought about bringing his stars back. Why? When you guys got your bench players are almost in double figures.
Well, if you like the makeup of your team as much as Mike Fuline does, I don't blame him for basically saying, hey, look, these are the 5 guys we'd like to start the game. But, you know, you can certainly see guys coming off the bench. I mean, they have several guys who've played every game coming in as a reserve this season and playing meaningful minutes. The team usually goes about 9 deep. Devontae Friga able to dunk one. 30-15 Mount Union. 6:32 left before halftime.
I was going to say, this is the time where BW needs to go down to Sova because they don't have anybody to really guard them.
Mazzio. Sova on the high screen, and the best shooter on the Jackets angers the Mount Union coaching staff. You could see them stomping their feet in frustration that he was left totally uncontested. Mazzio and Logan Hill played high school basketball together at Massillon Jackson. Mazzio was the Stark County Player of the Year last year. Friga tried to answer with a 3, and the rebound ricochets out of play. It's 30-18 Mount Union. They have led basically the whole way here.
And that's after I say it, minute and a half later, here comes the starters.
Yeah, you knew somewhere along the way they'd check back in, right? Gurley, Carroll, Poole, and Nathan Bauer-Malone all come back on to join Tanner Slack. So this is the starting 5 for Mount Union, as that second group gets some well-deserved high fives over there. Michael Quiring a bit out of control. He put it in anyways. Big play for the little guy.
I think Slack's getting to get called with the bump as he was going to the hoop.
That got BW's bench players to their feet. Outstanding. So Michael Quiring will shoot 1 free throw to try to cut the deficit to 9. Of course, for Mount Union, you take it 1 game at a time. Last year, all 3 of the OAC tri-champs finished the year 14-4. So you know if you have a setback or 2 along the way, the league is deep enough that you can probably count on other teams helping you out a little bit if you want to win the league. But I am certain Mount Union has dates on their calendar circled. Perhaps January 22nd, January 29th, February 12th. Those are certainly on the calendar. Those are the games with Marietta and the remaining game against John Carroll after they beat the Blue Streaks handily in early December. First bucket tonight for Nathan Bauer-Malone, who is certainly having a good year at 13 points per night. Mazzio. just a step in front of the free throw line, and Anthony Mazzio shooting it with some confidence tonight. Good to see. 8 points for him in the first half. Jackets down 9. Tanner Slack back to the top of the arc. Quiring trying to make it tough on Bauer Malone, who's got a non-favorable mismatch for him. But how about Quiring? Bauer Malone feeds it to John Carroll, who bowls over the Jacket point guard.
Now they're going to talk about him being in the arc.
Actually, they're calling, I believe, a flagrant foul.
I think they did.
I think the motion there was that he let the elbow fly and that it popped Michael Quiring. So Q is going to shoot free throws here. Well, in John Carroll's defense, his elbow's about as high as Quiring's forehead. So
yeah, that's
probably didn't help him.
It's one of those calls of like, oh my goodness, what else am I supposed to do?
Yeah, give Michael some credit. Mentioned it earlier. I called him the little guy, and on the team, he's one of the shorter guys. But if you measure the team in heart, Tom Hile wishes he had 15 Michael Quirings. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. He's as gritty as any guy in this squad, and his teammates love his leadership. Quiring's got 7. The Jackets are trailing 32-25. It's a lot better than 30-15 just a couple minutes ago.
He's one of the better leaders on campus too. It's not just on the court. So like, he's got the heart of the whole Yellow Jacket Nation behind him.
Well, in the classroom and on the court, game recognizes game, that's for sure. Luke Schaefer, what's he gonna do against Poole? Into a double, turns and fades away. Well, that's a tough shot to defend. He had a clean look. Didn't put enough heat on it though. 4 minutes to go in the first half as Gurley steps in and buries a triple.
I was more watching John Carroll running and asking for the alley-oop. I was like, here it comes. And luckily, they didn't see him.
Zach Sabula can't answer. Mazzio grabs the offensive rebound, up and under for 2.
Good take amongst the big guys. He didn't care. He went right at Carroll and Poole.
How about Mazzio? He's got 10 points already in the first half. Gurley, the team's leading scorer on the season, and he just hit a layup to complete a 3-point play. Hit the 3 the last time up the floor, and all of a sudden, he's making his presence felt out on the floor. By the way, Anthony Mazzio into double figures now for the 4th time in his collegiate career. He had 20 in the team's loss against Albion back toward the end of the 2019 portion of the calendar. (37-27). Mount Union by 10. Mazzio couldn't connect there. Here come the Raiders up the left side. Mount Union in black, Jackets in their white tops tonight. Inside 3 minutes to play. Gurley on Mazzio. Dribbles by him, stops. John Carroll gives behind him. It's a Nathan Bauer Malone 3. And it bounced over the top of the rim. Lucky break for the Jackets. Poole could have cleaned that up quickly. Instead, Devontae Friga and Logan Hill return for Tanner Slack and for John Carroll. Clock is rolling inside 2:40. Jackets down 10. Quiring thought about the three, found Sova. They double him in the post. Then the double releases. Sova stayed with it and laid it in.
He shuffled. He was shuffling too, so he got it up there. Nice move though to keep him with it and put it right off the glass.
That's 6 now for the Jacket big man. Poole on the left wing, back to Gurley, catch and shoot. Glances off the front of the rim. Offensive board goes to Poole. He threw it almost off Hill's forehead, it went so fast. Gurley gets a second crack at it and buries the 3 ball.
He knew as soon as he let it go that it was in. He was walking back down the court.
All 8 of Colin Gurley's points have come here in the last couple minutes. Inside 2 to play in the first half. Quiring's runner is short. And now the run and gun Raiders have a 3-on-2. Good defense. Mazzio pokes it away. That's a bad mistake from Bauer Malone. Mount Union had a numerical advantage there. Uncharacteristic. Bauer Malone doesn't turn it over very often. Quiring with 10 to shoot now. Lets it fly from a long way out. Puts it in. Timeout, Yellow Jackets. Quiring and Mazzio with 10 apiece in the first half.
Gonna have to keep shooting from deep against this lanky team. So, nice looks.
40-32, Mount Union leads by 8 with 1:13 to play before halftime. Coverage of tonight's contest sponsored by Papa John's Pizza in Berea, official pizza provider of BW Athletics. You can call us at 440-891-1900 or order online, papajohns.com. By the Oswald Company, they'll handle all of your insurance and risk management needs. And by Medical Mutual of Ohio, the official healthcare provider for Baldwin Wallace University. Along with Jeff Miller, I'm Brendan Gulick. Jackets got the better of Mount Union on this floor last year and in the OAC championship game, but they lost in Alliance earlier in the season last year. In fact, Mount Union hasn't won here in Berea in quite a while. 4 straight victories for the Jackets. Illegal screen on Logan Hill. Now, you know what? They're actually calling it on Poole. All right. Schaefer, Mazzio, Sabula, Nara, and Quiring against Friga, Bauer Malone, Gurley, Hill, and Poole. 1:05 to play before the break. BW hoping they can shoot their way back into this. They've hit 5 of 12 from deep tonight. Mazzio. Quiring. 5 to shoot. Quiring. Boy, I thought he traveled. Sabula 2 to shoot. Quiring has to let it fly from a mile away. Michael Quiring.
Wow, a prayer was answered.
That was almost as deep as his game-winning, buzzer-beating 3 at Marietta a couple years ago. 40-35, and I think they may reset the clock here. We'll see. 13 for Michael Quiring. Obviously, that came out of necessity with the shot clock expiring. But don't discredit the fact that he put it in anyways. Quiring was academic All-OAC last year. He's been a BW staple throughout his career. And his 13 points is already approaching a single season high for him. Let's see. Clock's at 25.6.
I think they just stopped it because the shot clock was still on, even though I think it shouldn't have been on at all.
Okay. Well, they definitely have taken the shot clock off. All right. So the Raiders can hold for the last shot if they so choose. It's a 5-point Mount Union advantage. See if they can stretch it. Poole hands to Gurley. 8 to play. Bauer Malone with 5 seconds. Wants to drive on Quiring. Slowed up. Fires back up. Poole, way too much on it. Good defense by Baldwin Wallace. And the Jackets, who at one point trailed 30-15, go into the locker room down only 5, 40-35. Much better response after Mount Union flexed their athletic muscles early on. The Jackets shot their way back in.
Yeah, definitely not sure, just the shooting well, but Mount Union definitely went cold there, being outscored 20-5 over that last 5-6 minutes of the game, the first half.
Hey, I'll tell you what, it's the old adage, right? It doesn't, you don't need to have a hot night offensively to play hard on the defensive end of the floor. And that's often why the Jackets find themselves in the thick of things when they're not shooting it well from 3, because they take the defensive end of the floor very seriously, and it's been their saving grace tonight. Mount Union 40, Baldwin Wallace 35. Michael Quiring leading all scorers with 13 points. Anthony Mazzio's got 10. Good balance from the Raiders. Logan Hill 9. Colin Gurley has 8. 5 apiece from Chris Painter and from Braden Poole. John Carroll with 5 as well. And Drew Sova scored 6 points in the first half for the Jackets. BW shot at 45%, 6 of 13 from 3. Mount Union hit 57% from the floor. They hit 5 of 14 from beyond the line. Jeff and I will step away during halftime. Come on back here in about 14 minutes. We'll give you live streaming second half coverage. It's the Jackets down by 5, 40-35 here in Berea. Welcome back for the start of the second half as the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets trail the Mount Union Purple Raiders tonight by a score of 40-35. Along with Jeff Miller, I'm Brendan Gulick. Glad to have you on board tonight, folks. It's been a fun game, and Mount Union had a pretty comfortable 30-15 lead, but the Jackets with a much better second half of the first half, and they've closed it to a 5-point game. And yet they've got a lot of work to do, Jeff, because this athleticism and speed on the Mount Union side of things has caused some real problems.
No doubt about it, and we're going to see that same starting five come back out to start this second half to see. So we'll see what BW can do against that unit. More of those points of where they came back in that 20-5 were on that, mainly that second unit.
Jackets have never had a lead and trailed by as many as those 15 points, but have kept it within striking distance, and that's where we start the second half. Coverage of tonight's game sponsored by Jimmy John's in Middleburg Heights. We're freaky fast, so your sandwich arrives freaky fresh. Call us at 440-625-0745, or you can order online at jimmyjohns.com. And by the Crown Plaza in Middleburg Heights. If you're looking for a quality place to stay before or after any Yellow Jacket contest, we hope you choose the Crown Plaza. Jackets in white, they're moving left to right here in the start of the second half. Mount Union in their black and black. There is no purple in this black Purple Raider uniform.
Except for the lavender shoes.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. I'll give you that. Poole and Bauer Malone have those shoes on of the guys that are on the floor at the moment. Anthony Mazzio had a great first half, tries to drive to the basket to start the second half, and he got fouled. So Mazzio will shoot a couple free throws here at the outset of the half. Elsewhere around the league tonight, it's halftime in Otterbein. The John Carroll Blue Streaks have a 35-27 lead over the Cardinals. Halftime out in Tiffin, where Heidelberg is beating Ohio Northern 34-21. And at the start of the second half in Wilmington, high-scoring game there. Wilmington 51, Capital 42. Defense optional down in Wilmington tonight. Marietta having little trouble with the Fighting Marcus Dempseys down in New Concord. 52-33, Marietta over the Muskies of Muskingum. Purple Raiders back to work. Colin Gurley down the right side, and he goes off the window for two.
Everything he puts up is going in, it seems like. That was so high off the glass, off the rim, and it somehow fell in.
Yeah, he didn't score a bunch in the first. In fact, he didn't score at all in the first 12 minutes of the game, but now he's got 10 points. Here comes Gurley again, bouncing it ahead toward Poole, whose feet went out from underneath him. My goodness, he must have slipped. I don't know if the floor was wet or if his shoe gave out, but that was pretty odd.
That's one of those scary things that could have turned into a freak injury right there. And it was kind of a pass that he didn't handle very well, but then it just slipped underneath him. Luckily, there's nothing wrong with him. And
yeah, he seems fine.
Yeah.
Looked worse than it was. That's good news. I was half waiting for a Zion Williamson-esque shoe blowout. 6-point game, a minute into the second half as Mazzio saw an opening. Tried to get fancy underneath with it and turned it over. It's the 7th BW turnover. They are the 8th best team in the country this year out of 420 teams that play D3 basketball. They are 8th best in the nation in fewest turnovers per game, but the Jackets have been a little careless with it at times tonight. John Carroll misses it for Mount Union. Feel obligated to say it that way.
John Carroll misses for Mount Union.
Quiring on the way to the left side. Nice move, Michael Quiring. Cutting through the key, finished with his left hand, and the Jackets are only down 4. That's 15 now for Q. Gurley. Well, he was fouled by Sabula, who just couldn't shuffle quick enough to keep up with him. Alex Nara back in for Drew Sova. And by the way, that 8th national ranking has gotten worse from last game to this game. It was 3rd going into the Capital game when the Jackets had a few turnover-prone minutes. Colin Gurley thought he was Kobe Bryant, missed the 3-ball in the right corner, but then almost picked up a steal as he commits a foul.
But he just picked up his third.
That is his third foul, you're right.
Second of this half.
And so just a minute 59 into the start of the second half, Gurley promptly checks out. Good news for Mike Fuline's team. They don't really lose much with Devontae Friga coming off the floor. BW was down 30-15, and now it's 42-38, Purple Raiders. Acquiring step back from 15. It's only pretty if it goes in. Everything else leading up to it looked nice, but ineffective in the end. Friga wanted to do the same thing to him, instead passed away to Carroll. Poole spinning around. Bauer Malone. Friga underneath, and a foul. I thought they were going to whistle him for traveling.
They're calling Quiring with the hold.
Okay, Michael Quiring picks up his first. Raiders by 4. They're still shooting 55%. That was way too easy. Tanner Slack, he's got 4 points.
Got the nice pick, took the cut, and went right down the lane, and they found him with a bounce pass. Mazzio couldn't get back.
So the Raider lead grows back to 6. Sabula, no sir. Friga gets it right back from Poole. Bauer Malone right side. In the corner, stop and pop. No good from 10 feet. Sabula grabs the miss.
Mountain Union's kind of been staying pat more, not cutting as much as they were in the first 15 minutes.
Well, I think some of that can be attributed to better defense from BW, but you're right, their offense has been less effective. Wow, sweet spin move from Friga, but it fell off the front of the rim. That was a point-blank miss. Those don't happen often. The Jacket deficit is still a half dozen. We're at 16-16 and counting. Mazzio just left of center, crosses up Bauer Malone with a sweet bounce pass, and Alex Nara gets 2 free throws. Now this feels like the Mazzio coming out party, and I say that knowing he's had a 20-point game already. Mazzio was not in the starting lineup at the beginning of the season. Matt Dimitrievs had occupied that spot. But as the year has gone along and Dimitrievs has not been as good offensively as he was last year, Mazzio has gotten more and more minutes as those two flip-flop spots at the moment. Dimitrievs and Shane Zalba both check in. Mazzio and Sabula have a seat. And on the other side, Logan Hill returns John Carroll.
Or he wants to shine. Or he wants to shine in his county against the school in the county that he shined in high school.
Could be. 44-40. Friga fires it underneath. It's out to Bauer Malone, and his 3 was on the money but long. Back to BW. Looked really good coming out of his hands, right on target, but a little too far. Well, you don't want to let BW hang around if you're Mount Union. Nara had a size advantage, fouled on the floor. Meanwhile, Chris Painter Jr. waiting to check back in.
That's Bauer Malone's second, so as he's staying in. I thought he was going out with Painter.
They're going to take Tanner Slack off the floor.
Probably a good foul there, too. Get him on the ground before he went up and fouled him again.
Well, if you're going to foul him, don't let him shoot. Certainly don't let him make it. Quiring wide open. Great play design, but he can't finish it. Zalba got boxed out, unable to pull it in. Poole. Friga turns around, really well contested by Michael Quiring. 5 minutes into the half, the Jackets are only down 4. Luke Schaefer down the right side, he misses. Well, Mount Union is 2 for 8 to start the second half shooting. The Jackets are 1 for 7. That'll help the averages. Timeout Raiders. Chris Painter Jr. puts in a 3-ball. It's 47-40 as we step aside in Berea. Back on the floor, it's 47-40. These two teams have played some pretty memorable games over the last decade, really, but I think perhaps aside from last year's OAC championship win, I think it wouldn't take too much brain racking to come up with the most memorable moment in series history. Are you reading my mind?
Maybe the 51-point
That's
game
right.
by Cam Coon and
Cam
double
Coon
overtime.
went crazy on the Raiders with a 50-point night. That would have been, I think, the 2015-16 season. Nice move, Shane Zalba for 2. Poole down the left side. He was a bit out of control and forced that one up there. Lead pass was right on target. Alex Nora. 47-44. Check this out. The Jackets are within 3.
December 2nd, 2015.
How about that? I was right. That was
110-109 in double overtime. The Purple Raiders won.
I think I pulled that out of somebody else's hat. Jacket foul. Sends Mount Union to the stripe. Chris Painter Jr. Couple of free throws coming. Colin Gurley continues to sit patiently waiting for another chance to get back in the game. He's got 3 fouls now. Looks like Mario Kaywood will check in momentarily. And the first foul shot for Painter goes in. Kaywood was a, go ahead.
I was going to say an update on the women's game. It's not even close. BW 51, Mount Union 23.
Holy smokes.
6:59 left in the third.
Mount Union's women's team has been outstanding the last 15 years. I don't think I can remember the last time, if ever, they started conference 0-5. And if they don't flip that scoreboard tonight, that's exactly where they'll be. Jackets are down 5. I was about to tell you about Kaywood. Went to Benedictine High School, but he's a Streetsboro native. One of the better players for the Benedictine Bengals a couple years ago. That's the first foul on Painter. Here comes Sova for Nara. Drew Sova against Logan Hill should be a fun little matchup. Acquiring Dmitrievs, Lastowski, Zalba, and Sova. BW down a handful. Q with a nice hesitation, tiptoes the baseline. Dmitrievs with a little Euro step, throws to no man's land. 5 to shoot for Lastowski. He's rejected by Friga. 3 on the timer. Well, you don't have to catch and shoot, but you don't have long. Acquiring decides to put it up quickly, right on the money.
Probably the smartest thing he did there, not get set, because Painter was right in his face.
18 for Michael Quiring. 49-47 in a game the Jackets trailed by 15 in the first half.
Sova's second foul. Just trying to get out of the way and couldn't.
4th foul on the Jackets this half. By the way, Q's best game of his career, I referenced earlier, but in a different way. It was the 25 points he had at Marietta, and that was the game in which he hit the buzzer-beating three to shock a solid crowd at Ben Johnson Arena. Sova gets high above the rim, grabs the miss, and Baldwin Wallace can tie it with a 2 or take the lead with a 3. 12:27 on the clock. Dimitrievs wants the lead, and he has it. The Jackets have erased a 15-point hole. Bauer Malone goes barreling into Quiring, who's called for a blocking foul. How'd you see it?
It's very close, but I think Q was still shuffling just a bit. Oh, it was one of those bang bangs, but one team's going to be happy, one team's not going to be. Either way you call that.
Michael comes out. Jake Snyder takes his spot. First lead of the night for Baldwin Wallace. You know, the other thing about playing good defense, that can fire you up almost more than hitting big shots on the other end of the floor. And the Jackets thrive off their defensive energy. It's been a hallmark of Tom Heil-led teams. That was a mistake on BW defensively. And Logan Hill had as easy a layup as he'll have all season.
Nice patience there by Hill as both Zalba and Lestowski went up and over him. And he waited for them to both come back down.
Another 3 for Dimitrievs. He was leaning back when he shot it. Sova skied for the rebound, trying to finish it. No bucket, but 2 foul shots. And the big man doing his part.
He should be taking full advantage of his height now with what the floor out there for the Purple Raiders are.
Well, the guys that are on the floor currently, only 2 of them played in last year's OAC championship game. That's Nathan Bauer Malone and Devontae Friga. Remember, this Mount Union team had 3 outstanding seniors a year ago. They had 4 on the roster, but 3 that saw significant time. Andrew Francisconi, Tommy Stenger, and Jalo Niamke, their big man. They had to reinvent themselves a little bit this year, but with such explosive guard play, they had the horses to do it. Logan Hill underneath. Hard to believe he didn't put it in. 2 free throws coming for Logan Hill. The Jackets have a 52-51 lead after Sova's made foul shots. But Logan Hill, who's working on an 11-point night, tries to answer on the other end.
I think if he would have went straight up instead of trying to go up and under, he might have had the 3-point attempt here.
So Logan Hill. First one's good. Marietta 76, Muskingum 53. Thanks for coming. 8:20 to go in that one, but I have a hard time believing that the Muskies will mount a comeback there.
Does Dempsey have 35 of the 53?
I'll tell you, wouldn't surprise me. Marcus Dempsey has only 18.
Wow.
He's 2 of 11 from behind the 3-point line tonight. Not a good shooting night for Dempsey. Heidelberg leads by 15 over Northern, 47-33. It's now a 14-point game. Dimitrievs clanks a 3-ball. John Carroll by 11, 56-45 over Otterbein. And Capital has come back to take a 62-61 lead on Wilmington halfway through the second half. Here it's Mount Union 53, Baldwin Wallace 52. Along with Jeff Miller, I'm Brendan Gulick. This is Chris Painter with a good feed, and Logan Hill, fearless to the rim. 2-hand flush.
I think he realized after his last one that he tried to go up and around. I'm just going to hammer it down over the smaller player. And Painter is going to be a very good point guard in this league for many years.
Lestowski for the tie. Absolutely. Timeout, BW. Well, the 3-point shot in college basketball is the ultimate game changer. The great equalizer. And we are tied at 55 with 10:29 to play. Don't go anywhere. A great D3 college basketball game on tap here tonight. Brendan Gulick and Jeff Miller with you from Ersprung Gymnasium on a cold but fairly dry early January evening. We have been blessed so far with a fairly mild winter. Only a couple of bad snowfalls here in Northeast Ohio. Cold weather and some rain, but the old adage in Cleveland, you don't have to shovel rain, and they'll take it as much as they can.
You're exactly right. After that timeout, Gurley came back onto the floor for Mount Union. I think Schaefer and Mazzio for the Yellow Jackets.
First time Gurley's returned since he checked out a minute and a half into the second half. That was about 7 minutes ago. This stays Purple Raider ball. We're all tied at 55. Mount Union led 30-15. The Jackets finally took their first lead, 51-50. Painter catch and shoot off the inbound. Bauer Malone the rebound. And the Raiders had a 20-second shot clock to work with, so they'll pull it out for a moment. Nathan rocking Drew Sova to sleep, lobs over the top. They skip it around the arc a few times for a Gurley 3-ball. Every time he shoots, I think it's going in. He's just got that kind of finish.
I think he does too.
That's why I keep shooting it. The Jackets are glad to see that Gurley's not completely en fuego tonight. Luke Schaefer trying to teach him how to do it. Hope Colin Gurley wasn't watching. That missed badly. One hand pass to Logan Hill trying to show some range. Oh, man. He can dunk it, he can drive it, and he can shoot it from behind the three-point line. Logan Hill's got 18. Mazzio left on an island. He'll make those more often than not. Good hustle. The Jackets get it back. Sova tried to muscle it in there and couldn't finish it. So 2 free throws for Drew Sova.
As the Mount Union crowd behind us is yelling for a charge, just like they had in the first half, but I think it's a little different.
Yeah, not sure I'm buying that one. I'm fair. Call it as I see it. I don't think there's a good argument for a charge on that, but Sova puts the first one in. Looking through the numbers for Logan Hill, this is easily his best game as a Purple Raider. He shot 7 of 10 from the floor, 15 points against Ohio Northern on December 7th. But tonight, Logan Hill already has 18 on 7 of 10 from the floor, 5 rebounds. We still have 9 minutes to play as the big man, Drew Sova, takes care of business from the free throw line. Give Drew some credit. He started the night as a 74% free throw shooter. It's one of the areas of his game he's worked most on. He's a 54% career free throw shooter, but on the season he is significantly better than his career averages. 58-57 Mount Union. A bucket here gives the Jackets back the lead. Quiring. Mazzio, and he got held up. Painter grabbed him.
I think that's going to, just second on Painter. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong side of the board.
Painter has 10 points. Alex Nara back in for Drew Sova. 4 of 4 from the line tonight for Sova. 3 of 3 from the floor. 10 points, 8 rebounds. And he's been a commanding presence there in that low post. 6'8", 220, athletic, physical, and mean. Those guys don't grow on trees. At least not at the D3 level.
No, they do not.
58 apiece. Mazzio's got a dozen. And with 8:35 left in regulation, the Jackets take the lead back, 59-58. Glad to see BW shooting the free throws well tonight, because that's been a real bugaboo for them this year. The team is at 12 of 13 tonight. They're a 63% free throw shooting team on the year. Bauer Malone slips in a nice athletic right-handed layup, give him 4 points. Gives Sabula an open 3, and Mazzio grabs the miss. Oh, beautiful play by Mazzio trying to pass it, but he faked himself out. Thought he was going to get that off before that second foot came up, and it did not travel.
I don't think he thought he was that wide open and just couldn't believe it. got that great offensive rebound there, and they didn't know what. Usually there's a flock of, or whatever you want to call, Purple Raider around them.
Pretty good balance tonight for BW. They've hit 9 threes, 10 two-pointers, and 12 free throws. 41% from the floor, 39% from deep, but 92% from the free throw line. Mount Union 24 of 49 shooting, that's 49%. They've hit 7 of 23s and 5 of 7 from the free throw line. Quiring, trying to make it tough on Bauer Malone, who says, I don't care where you're guarding me. Nathan Bauer Malone with layups on back-to-back possessions. As the Jackets tried to beat him up the floor and spot up for 3. Instead, it's Mazzio underneath, and Bauer Malone hacked him. That's his third. Mount Union 62, BW 59, with 7:42 to play. Anthony Mazzio from the stripe trying to continue this good run of form, and he puts it in. Jackets have been playing good basketball lately. They've won 5 of 6. Their only loss was a 3-point setback to Albion. That stretch has all come since the calendar flipped to December. Jackets went 2 and 3 in November. One of those 3 losses came to Marietta. The other 2 to a couple of fairly good non-conference teams, Westminster and Hobart. They beat Bethany and Hiram at the beginning of the year. And some whistles are blowing. I have to admit, I didn't see what happened there.
I have no clue what he even called.
It's BW basketball. He didn't call a foul. He didn't call a travel. I have no idea what happened. He gave some sort of verbal explanation, but in a loud gym, shouting the explanation toward the benches. We're on the opposite side of the floor. Had no real chance to hear what the word was there. Meanwhile, Alex Nara muscles one up and in there. Jackets take the lead back, 63-62.
That's their first basket in as many minutes because they've scored their last 6 on free throws.
That's right. 7 minutes to play. Colin Gurley beats Sabula and scores it. Gurley's got a dozen. Raiders have the lead back. Punch and counter punch this whole second half. Quiring, he got fouled. It's on Gurley, that's his 4th. Devontae Friga back off his comfortable padded chair. You know, back in the old days.
They were
used to have wooden benches. You didn't want to grab some pine. Now it's like, coach, I'll sit in my recliner over here. Give me a Gatorade and just kind of relax. Yeah, sure.
Especially in the NBA, it looks like a lazy boy that they sit in now. Give them the remote, they could change the jumbotron.
Friga back on the floor. Gurley grabs this the same chair that Friga was sitting in. That chair is conveniently next to Mike Feuline's assistant coaches. Hard to believe Nara got out-rebounded there. Raiders beat the Jackets up the floor. Mount leads by a point, 6:28 to play in regulation. Nathan Bauer Malone in this second half has been outstanding, driving to the basket with his right hand, his 4th such layup. 66-63. Nara one-on-one. Turns around, doesn't have it. Friga grabs the miss. Inside 6 minutes to go. Mount Union lost to Heidelberg last time out as Nara pokes it away. That snapped a 6-game winning streak for Mount. Purple Raiders 8-3 on the year. Jackets are 7-4 as Quiring looks for the tie, and he gets it. How about Quiring? 21 for him. Timeout, Raiders. And the Yellow Jackets have a 10 three-pointer evening. 66-66. This has been an awesome second half of basketball.
Back and forth. You don't know who. You think one person's got the advantage, and right back the other team comes. It's all out of control.
Well, both teams have good players stepping up, making big plays. That's what you need your best players to do in big moments. All right, we'll step aside quickly. Jackets and Raiders tied 66. Let's give you an update from around the Ohio Athletic Conference tonight, where Marietta is annihilating Muskingum 93-70 with 2 minutes to play. 21 points for Tim Krieger tonight for Marietta, 20 for Jason Ellis. That's a calm night for Ellis. He dropped 50 on John Carroll a couple weeks ago. Ohio Northern still down double figures. It's Heidelberg 55, Northern 44, 6 minutes to go in the half. John Carroll leads Otterbein by 10, 63-53 with 4 minutes to play. Capital and Wilmington in a tight one, 72 apiece, under 5. We've got 5:24 left on our clock here in Berea. As Friga drives from left to right and scores it, plus the foul.
He just blew the doors off Zalba.
Mount Union's veteran guards are playing like it. Senior Devontae Friga, senior Nathan Bauer-Malone. And they have scored routinely at the can here in the second half. Friga tries to extend this to a three-point advantage. 69-66. Quickly to Mazzio. And Poole wasn't going to let him shoot uncontested. Nara up and into it, but an offensive foul. Nara felt that he jumped to the inside and thought he had cleared the defender, but not able to get around Nathan Bauer-Malone, who comes up with a wrinkled nose, but no worse for the wear other than that.
That was good defensive position by Bauer-Malone, no doubt about it on that one.
I don't blame Nara for the direction he took either, but Bauer-Malone made a good play. Nathan to the top of the arc. Here's Friga, great ball fake and drive. They swing it around, Poole wide open and buries it. That was a beautiful sequence for Mount Union. And all of a sudden the Raiders with 6 unanswered points. They lead 72-66 with 4:43 to play.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of teams that are that unselfish to kick it around the whole entire arc from baseline all the way back around to the opposite arc just to get that wide open three.
Everybody touched the ball, and after the initial drive, it never hit the floor. So the Jackets are down a half dozen here. How about an update from the women's game? Do you have the latest score down in Alliance?
Last I saw was 30.
Okay.
Let me take a quick look. And
if you haven't seen the BW women's team play in person and you are in the area, you're missing out, and quit wasting your time, because that is a team that is absolutely worth coming out to see every time they're in their home gym. They've got a legitimate chance to win an OAC title this year.
Up by 22 with 5:32 left to go in the game, 65-43.
Sherry Harrer in her 30th season in Berea, closing in on 600 career victories, averaging 20 a year. That's pretty impressive. Michael Quiring, no good on his three. Nara thought he had positioning, and Friga slipped underneath him to grab the rebound. Now it's Bauer-Malone, catch and shoot. That could have been a small dagger. Jackets dodge a bullet. Mazzio in trouble. Tried to flip it up there. Good defense from Poole. And a foul on Michael Quiring. He clipped Painter. At least Painter didn't have the ball, and it wasn't a clear path foul. But it is 1-1 on the 8th team foul for the Jackets. Alex Nara checks out. Drew Silva back in. So they're going to wipe up the spot on the floor where everybody went down.
And the scary thing is there's going to be a very solid backcourt for Mount Union for years to come with Painter Jr. and Gurley.
Yeah, this is not, hey, you dodged a bullet. Friga and Bauer Malone graduated.
Yeah, here we go. We got two more.
Painter and Gurley. Certainly a promising thing. And again, I can't stress it enough. Mike Feuline is one of the good guys in the league. And I'm not surprised that he's been able to recruit elite talent because he is one of the more well-respected coaches, not just in the league, but in the region. He was the Great Lakes Region Coach of the Year back in 2015. As likable a basketball coach as you're going to find.
He even pointed out to me my error before the game. I thought they only had lost 3 in a row. He goes, I think I've lost 5 here.
This has always been a tough place to play no matter who you are around the league. Jackets are trying to defend their home floor tonight, but they've given up 8 straight points. Quiring with yet another three-pointer. Cuts into the deficit. Michael Quiring 1 point shy of a career high. He's got 24, and it's now 74-69 with 3:47 left in regulation. The Jackets now have 3 timeouts remaining. Same story for Mount Union. Anthony Mazzio with 15. Michael Quiring has been the big standout scorer. And, you know, honestly, Jeff, that's been kind of fun because Quiring certainly has that ability, but he doesn't often play that role as scorer. It's usually more facilitator.
Definitely, and it hasn't been really a year that you've seen Michael Quiring be that go-to guy. You know, you had a Jay Battle last year, and pretty much it's turned into the Luke Schaefer show with occasionally Quiring busting out, but he really hasn't busted out, and he waited till the turn of the calendar year and conference play to really make his point. I'm here, and we're going to be around for a while.
This game was tied at 66. Now Mount Union leads 74-69. I don't know what Poole was doing there. He should have gone up with it. He had Nara beat. Instead, tried to get fancy and turned it over. 3:25 and counting. Sova off the dribble, takes Hill to the rack, missed it. How about the offensive effort on the rebound for Mazzio? Sova's second chance didn't go in either. Good defense from the Raiders.
Friga and Poole with their, I guess you're going to have to call a double block again.
Poole for 2.
Painter Jr., his eyes, he just looked, he's always looking for the next motion.
Drew Silva against Logan Hill. Drew almost lost his pivot foot and he got fouled. Mount Union wanted to travel. Drew just did the splits underneath the basket and kept that left foot stationary. He just thought he traveled because his right foot went so far away.
Yeah, foul was on Hill, his second. Yeah, I don't know. They got all tangled up under there. You just see looking like they're bouncing around. Who knows what actually happened.
Drew Silva misses the free throw.
And the one I can't believe, Brendan, is that John Carroll hasn't played probably the last 10 minutes.
You know what? Hill's having a great night, and I think Hill's a better athlete.
Yep.
Carroll is long and lanky, but Logan Hill is giving up a little size to his teammate, but he's willing to bang around with the jacket big man.
Yep. I'm thinking, but that's why I'm up here talking to you. I'd be playing Hill and Carroll
playing them both
together. That'd be a force to reckon with that you haven't seen in this league in a long time.
Friga couldn't handle it. 2:32 to go. It is sweaty palms time here in Ersprung Gymnasium.
That has been 2 possessions down here. That Poole looks completely lost what to do with the ball, and right there he goes to the bench.
Mike Feuline noticed that and said, all right, Braden, have a seat.
Gurley came back onto the floor.
Quiring, Schaefer, Sabula, Mazzio, and Sova for BW. Quiring, good bounce pass to Silva. Hill didn't bite on a pump fake. The Jackets never even got a shot out of it. That is off Mount Union. Bauer, Malone, Friga, Gurley, Painter, and Hill for the black-clad Purple Raiders.
Yeah, Friga knocked that ball right away from Sova, and Bauer Malone couldn't control it, and it went right out of bounds.
It's a final tonight in Marietta. The Pioneers beat the Muskingum Fighting Muskies 95-73, so the winner of this game will remain one game back in the early season OAC race as Marietta goes to 5-0 in conference play. Both of these teams are 3-1. They are the only 3-1 teams in the league entering tonight. Sabula couldn't pull the trigger, decided to drive to the basket, and he probably regrets not having that chance. Stays with BW, 2:05 to play.
You got that barn burner still down, and barn burner appropriate in Wilmington as it's 83-83 with a minute 51 left.
I think those teams are both bottom half of the league this year. Quiring wanting a career day. Oh, he cannot miss. Michael Quiring with 27 at home his senior year against Mount Union. He's hoping it'll be enough. The Jackets are down 4, 76-72. What an unbelievable night for Q. He just hit his 6th 3 in 8 tries. Gurley plus the foul. $14 for Colin Gurley. He'll go to the free throw line for one more, trying to stretch it to a 7-point game, but more importantly, a 3-possession lead. Logan Hill has 18. Gurley has 14. Stays that way. 12 for Chris Painter. Those are the leading scorers for Mount Union. Minute 30 to go, Jackets down 6. Quiring wants 30. Oh my goodness! They're gonna say his foot was on the line. No, they will give him a 3.
He's 2 shy of tying the school record for threes made in the game, and the team is 5 off of tying it, which is 18 in a game.
78-75. Michael Quiring, 7 of 9 from behind the 3-point line. You know, Quiring was a teammate of Cam Coon's for a couple of seasons. He was not around when Cam Coon, I don't think he was, right? 15-16 would have been the year before Quiring was a freshman.
Yes.
So Q did not see the 50-point explosion that Cam Coon put up on Mount Union back 5 seasons ago, but he's having a night that he'll certainly never forget.
This is I'm trying to think, it's probably the first 30-point game for a Yellow Jacket since late last year. I'm not sure. I can't remember if Jay had one last year.
I think Jay had a couple last year.
Yeah, I'm just trying. I can't remember, but it's been a while, and we haven't had one all year until now.
Quiring with 30, Mazzio with 15, Silva with 10 points, 8 rebounds. But he's probably kicking himself over the 2 missed foul shots he's had, 4 of 6 on the night. This is still a game the Jackets can reach. It did not look promising when Mount Union was cruising in the first half, out front 30-15, but BW refused to let them pull away. They cut it to 5 at halftime. BW, I don't think they've ever had the lead more than 1 or 2 points, but it's been back and forth all second half. Raiders lead by 3. Jackets have 2 timeouts. Mount has 3. 1:07 to play. This is Friga. Driving on Nara. Rejected! Sabula saves it in time. What defense! Coach Heil giving him the wave it, which says, let's go with the offense. No timeout. Quiring wants a high screen. Now he's driving. He beat Friga, who blocked him from behind.
To follow up that 30-point question, Jay Battle had 4 last year. The last one was in the championship game against Mount Union.
32?
33.
33, yep. That was a heck of an effort for Jay Battle that night. Jackets beat Mount Union 79-75 in the OAC title. We're almost at that same score tonight. Mount Union 78, BW 75, 34 seconds to go. Jackets have 5 to shoot. Quiring, he's the hot hand. Can he do it from a mile away? No. And that ball never hit the rim. That's really tough for Baldwin Wallace. Good defense for Mount Union.
Probably going to have to foul immediately because the shot clock is off.
Tom Heil has 2 timeouts and decides to take one of them to discuss how they want to handle the final 25.3.
Capital just pulled away a little bit. They're up 4 with 20 seconds left.
Well, the Yellow Jackets have got their shooting percentage up quite a bit throughout the course of the game, and a good reason for that is their effectiveness from behind the three-point line tonight, 13 of 29. The disappointing thing is after starting 12 of 13 from the free throw line, the Jackets have only hit 2 of their next 6. And you really hope that's not the difference at the end of the game. But at the moment, down 3, 78-75.
If everything stands pat, too, like you said, Marietta's going to be 4-0. Mount Union would be 4-1, or 5-0 and 4-1, excuse me. And then you'll have Baldwin Wallace, Capital, and Heidelberg all tied for third at 3-2.
If there is some strategy in the BW huddle on who to foul, and I'm sure they're going over those things, Braden Poole on the year is 63% from the line. Logan Hill is 67% from the line, and both those guys have taken a good number of free throws. But Mount Union as a team is very, very good. 77% entering the night from the free throw line, and they've hit 8 of 11 as a squad tonight.
And Slack comes back onto the floor, so.
Yep. Yeah, these are 5 shooters. Slack, Friga, Bauer Malone, Gurley, and Painter can all handle the ball well. Slack calls timeout. Didn't like the defense BW was playing. They had 3, so sensibly burning one of those. And it's a full timeout for Mount Union. You know, it's kind of fun, Jeff. You watch D3 basketball. You've been around it a long time. There are a lot of leagues that like to tell you, boy, I think we have one of the best leagues in the country. It's really tough, top to bottom. I think the OAC, when they say that, has more clout than a lot of other conferences around the country because it is so hard to win on the road. Mount Union has a ton of talent. And you saw it last year. There were 3 teams that went to the NCAA tournament out of our league. There were 3 teams that finished the regular season as tri-champions. And you can't convince me that John Carroll wasn't good last year. You can't convince me that, Marcus Dempsey can go off for 50 on any given night. This is a really tough league. And these are the kinds of games that I think really helped BW win the tournament last year. Playing in tough games when maybe they're fighting against it here late.
Yeah, I mean, playing tough at home, as we've talked about even with Coach Spencer, the softball coach, their home field advantage doesn't really exist anymore in D3 for sure, maybe across all college athletics, but you play a tough game at home, you can go on the road and go, wow, we can do this on the road. And like you said, last year they did that. They went on the road and knocked off the number 1 seed down in Bexley. So you never know what's going to happen.
How about this Jacket defense? They force another Purple Raider timeout. There's 22.4 on the clock now. The first time they called the timeout because they couldn't get it in. Now they call a timeout when Friga got trapped in the backcourt. It's 78-75 Mount Union. Certainly diehard Yellow Jacket fans will remember that Baldwin Wallace won all 3 OAC tournament games on the road last year en route to their first OAC tournament championship since 2006 and their first NCAA tournament appearance since 2006. It was the 6th tournament championship in school history. Mount Union had last won the tournament in 2015, but they have been a part of things in the OAC for a while. It just goes to show why Marietta has earned the high praise nationally that they have, because they're not playing nobodies week in and week out. The Pioneers had an Elite Eight run last year. The only reason that Marietta didn't make the NCAA tournament last year was because of an absolute ridiculous freak performance by the nation's leading scorer last year in that Elite Eight game. Pioneers couldn't get past Aston Francis and the Wheaton Thunder. If you didn't see it last year, Francis and the Thunder beat Marietta 91-87 when Aston Francis scored 62 points in the Elite Eight game. All right, back to what's in front of us. 22 seconds and Mazzio fouls. I believe that's Nathan Bauer-Malone who just got up. Yep. Mazzio tried to jar one away and committed the foul.
And unfortunate for Mazzio there that he did bump Bauer-Malone, because they were almost at the 5-second clock. I'm surprised that Slack didn't. I think he could have hit Painter Jr. going right down the sideline here, and he didn't see it or want to throw it.
Well, Bauer-Malone, who is a very good free throw shooter, 90% on the season. As the referees go over and have they had a brief discussion at midcourt. They're going to put 21.7 on the clock. Let's see who decides to come in. Both teams, by the way, 1 timeout remaining. Both teams in the double bonus, so 2 free throws here for Bauer-Malone. Mount Union 78, Baldwin Wallace 75. I'm not sure what the delay in things is. In the meantime, coverage of tonight's game brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic Sports Health Division, the official healthcare provider of Baldwin Wallace Athletics, and by the Courtyard by Marriott and Town Place Suites in Middleburg Heights. Brendan Gulick, Jeff Miller with you on Wednesday night, January the 8th. BW trying to give Mount Union a second straight conference loss, but the Raiders have the upper hand right now. And Bauer-Malone's free throw so pure it barely moved the net.
High arcing and going to bring the rain how high he shoots him.
9 points for him, but more importantly, a 2-possession lead now. Sova, Sabula, Quiring, Dimitrievs, and Mazzio for BW. Bauer-Malone hits them both. It's a 5-point game. Friga, Bauer-Malone, Slack, Gurley, and Painter for Mount Union. Quiring, career high 30 tonight. They give it right back to Q. Step back 3. It's contested and partially blocked. Gurley pulls it away. Dimitrievs fouls Gurley. And Mount Union is probably going to escape with a win.
And ironically, if they didn't score again, this would have been the last time that they won here in February 15th of 2017 by that same score. But obviously, they're probably going to hit both these.
Yeah, you never know. Got 2 foul shots coming no matter what. Gurley hits the first. You know, Tom Heil's team is probably going to look back at this and reference the 66-66 tie with about 4.5 minutes to go, where Mount Union then had a layup plus a foul and a 3-pointer as maybe the deciding turning point of the game. Just goes to show you got to play a full 40 minutes, sometimes longer. Dimitrievs, just for window dressing, does not go. And the Mount Union Purple Raiders, who have a heck of a team this year, knock off the Baldwin Wallace Yellow Jackets 82-75. Really impressive win for Mount Union on the road. They go to 9-3, now 4-1 in conference play. Jackets gave them a great fight tonight. BW falls to 7-5, and they are 3-2 in the OAC. So the next couple of games for BW will be on the road. They'll play at Otterbein this weekend. Come home next Wednesday. They will play at Ohio Northern. Next time they'll be at home will be on Saturday, January 18th, with Wilmington in town. And then, of course, a big game against the John Carroll Blue Streaks on Wednesday night, the 22nd. It's tough to lose a game. You certainly don't hang your head when you lose them in this fashion, but be remiss if we didn't give some major props to the night Michael Quiring had. A career-high 30-point performance, 10 of 20 from the floor, 7 of 11 from behind the three-point line. Senior out of Brunswick tonight had a night he'll never forget.
No doubt about it. It was one of those things that when you're hot, and he felt it. And I think where the real turning point where he knew he was when he buried that last second three from, I don't know, 50, whatever away. I mean, you knew in his eyes that he definitely had nothing that nothing's not going to go in for me. And, you know, he missed some. I mean, obviously he missed 10 shots, but he had a night that he should not hang their head out. And like you said, an 82-75 final when we were sitting here with, what, about 6 minutes left to go in the first half, I thought it was going to be like 82-40, how much Mount Union had the game in control, but they fought back, and what a great game for the Jackets, even though on the losing side of it.
BW never led by more than 1 point, but we had 8 lead changes in the second half. How about that? And 6 ties in the second half. It was, for quite a while, a white knuckler, but Mount Union pulls away in the end. Purple Raiders led by Logan Hill's Mount Union best 18 off the bench. Was also his Purple Raider personal record in 29 minutes of action, 18 points, 5 rebounds. 16 for Colin Gurley, 10 for Nathan Bauer-Malone, 12 in reserve play for Chris Painter. Mount Union hit 8 of 22 threes. They shot at 57% from the floor. Jackets connected on 45%. They hit a total tonight of 13 out of 31 three-pointers and 14 of 19 from the free throw line. So Mount Union with a win. Again, they go to 9-3 overall. They are 4-1 in conference play. Just 1 game behind Marietta, who they played twice still in OAC competition. Jackets fall to 7-5. They're 3-2 in league play, and they're hoping that they can come up with some big wins here the next week or two to keep them in the upper half of the OAC. For Jeff Miller, I'm Brendan Gulick. Thanks for tuning in to Yellow Jacket Basketball tonight. Our coverage presented to you by American International. When you require a company with proven performance, rely on American International. Mount Union 82, Baldwin Wallace 75. So long, everybody.